Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolverine channel. Today I'm featuring something MCC released. We need to get this out as much as possible. So without any further ado, we got a Oakland County Sheriff Darren Afiara. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce his name. It's for the record, it is Afiara, Afiara. All right. This guy was a deputy sheriff. He had several different other deputies that responded to this call. And so basically, what it comes down to is here's a story about an executive lieutenant, Darren Afiara, or should say, a former executive lieutenant. He was found by an Oakland County Sheriff Deputy Curtis passed out behind the wheel of a deputy vehicle, and he was super drunk as 0.341 blood alcohol level. That right there is dangerously near death. It says it's passed out near death. If they didn't come, he might have died there. They probably saved his life. In this video, we will go over what happened in here, and in part two, we will go over what happened in court. The BS slap on the wrist sentence he got. It's crazy. Let's go into it. So we got MCC telling the story. Let's listen to it. I'll give my reaction as we go on.
So I'm out here in front of the Mount Zion Church on Mabee Road here in Oakland County. And on 10/17/2024 at 3:10 p.m., a sheriff's deputy in an unmarked sheriff's vehicle was found in his car, passed out right here against this curb. His front wheel was up on top of this curb, and his back wheel was right about here, pressed up against the curb.
October 17, 2024, 15:10:17.
Oakland County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
Well, I'm actually on the side of the road, I guess it's 4900, where the Mount Zion Church is in Independence Township.
Okay, what's going on there?
I work for the township, and we were driving by, and I noticed a black Suburban vehicle parked on the side, like kind of off the side of the road, and there's somebody in it that looks unconscious. We drove by, and we kind of saw him slumped over, and we came back, and so we pulled over, and I'm sitting here, and I'm knocking on the door, and the person inside is not responding.
Okay, and this is is this on Mabee or on Clintonville there?
We're on Mabee. It's like right at 4900 entrance of the Mount Zion Church, the second entrance to Mount Zion on Mabee.
On the side of the road?
Yeah, like just kind of like pulled over, like one wheel's up on the curb, and the car's on.
Okay, is this a male, female?
A male.
Over the wheel or leaning back?
He's kind of like to the side by the window. So like when I'm knocking on the window there, it's right by where his head is. I can give you his license plate number if that would help. I mean, I don't know if that'll help.
So as you see, they're a person that works for a municipality somewhere else at a township had a duty to call because they stopped and actually tried to get the person to respond. I believe, in my opinion, that they knew who he was, and they couldn't be fronted off, because if something really bad happened to him, they could be responsible. So they called it in.
Check on him.
Okay, should we stick around, or should we go?
Up to you.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, bye.
Now, the deputy that responded, the first officer on the scene, Deputy Curtis, immediately turned her body camera off once she realized who it was.
By the way, she responded, lights and siren, and they cut that. And you'll see how they cut the other one as well.
I think it's going to be, I don't know.
Immediately turned her body camera off
I'm going to show you the numbers again.
once she realized who it was.
So this is an Oakland County deputy. See that? That's Michigan. That's an Oakland County sheriff. 1493 on 10/17/24.
I think it's going to be, I don't know.
Did you hear it? She's like, I think it's going to be one of ours, but she's like, I don't know. Right then and there, I believe she knew.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. You good?
Yeah.
You okay? Yeah, let's turn the car on.
Now, you guys see the favoritism going on right here? You see the favoritism? Why are they blurring out this criminal's face? Yeah, they tried to cover it up all right.
Hey, what's going on?
And then the next officer that showed up, she immediately told him to shut off his body cam and his dash cam.
Wow, look at that. What is the number one killer inside the United States of police officers? Anybody know? Speed. What is this guy doing right now? Going on 2-lane highways, doing excess over 70, 80, 90 mile an hour. He put himself at risk. That means he's a liability to us and the taxpayers. Watch how she walks up and tells him to turn his body cam off. Excuse me, I left that out, didn't I? Let's show that again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Watch what she does right here. You see that? He didn't see it right away, but we need to look for those signs. Take a look at the signs she gives right here. She's got her hand on her body cam, right? And she's telling the other guy to look. Just in case if he doesn't, she's walking real fast to make sure that he turns his body cam up. Watch her right here. See that? Boom, boom. 3 times she pointed at the body cam. So he's like, what?
Cams for a minute.
No cams, huh?
So the cover up on this story started immediately. And through FOIA requests that a friend of mine got, we have all the information we need. This was a pretty crazy thing that happened, and they tried to bury it because it was never on the news. And you think when the deputy is super drunk, driving a vehicle, that they would want to let everyone know what happened. His blood draw was a .341.
You guys know what that is? Let me show you. Let me show you. You guys see that? Body alcohol is the amount of alcohol in your bloodstream expressed as a percentage of 0.341% is extremely high and indicates severe alcohol poisoning. You understand that? Alcohol poisoning was potential life-threatening. He lost consciousness. He had trouble breathing. They had to wake him up. All the signs were there. Moving on.
And he was out here in the car up against that curb over there, passed out. The 911 call was made by a township employee that noticed him slumped over the wheel and pulled in here and was beating on the window trying to get him to wake, and he was unresponsive.
I got a question to ask the 52 people that are in here right now. Do you think if that was you, I'm going to come back to this, 636. Do you think for 1 second this would have happened to you? Like this, as it shows right here in this body cam? Watch this.
Realized who it was.
Do you think that would have stopped right there?
I think it's gonna be, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, I think
No.
it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's going to be. So she knows who it is. Now imagine if she didn't know who it is. What would have happened? She would have banged and opened it up, and she would have said, "Come on, sir, unbuckle the seatbelt. Hey, I smell alcohol all over you. Come on out. Sir, you need to take a variety of tests. Do you need..." The first and foremost thing, she would identify herself as an Oakland County sheriff, and then she would have went on to read him his rights as she went and got the BAT blow test monitor that tests your blood alcohol in your breath, which is called the breathalyzer. Going back to 636. So we could see favoritism all over this.
That noticed him slumped over the wheel and pulled in here and was beating on the window trying to get him to wake, and he was unresponsive. And then he did finally stir a little bit, but he didn't actually wake up. And then when the deputy got here, she woke him up.
Welcoming everybody, including KT. You got Cat, you got Deplorable, and a few others in here. We appreciate you. Okay, moving on.
And after she shut her body camera off, because they didn't want the public to see what was going on, she removed him from the vehicle and took his vehicle over here into this parking lot. I'll show you the parking lot.
A church, Mount
Over
Zion
there in that
parking lot.
parking lot where the
It says, "I turned off the SUV and took the keys out of the ignition. At the time the Deputy Hyde arrived on scene, I briefed Deputy Hyde of the situation and stated the BAT was not needed." See that? It's a cover-up. I put Darren in the passenger seat of my patrol vehicle and moved his SUV in a parking spot in Mount Zion Church. I was moving the SUV. Department Hyde contacted Sergeant Bowie per Darren's request. So that was Darren's request. We moved our patrol vehicles near his parked SUV and awaited for Sergeant Bowie to arrive. After command arrived on the scene, we were instructed to leave the scene. Now, everybody knows it's against the law to leave the scene of a crime until it's investigated with investigators and you're released after the investigation. None of that took place.
people driving by aren't going to be able to see. And they conducted their investigation behind all this foliage so nobody could see what's actually going on. They didn't want people to know what's really happening here.
Did you guys see that? Hold up.
They didn't investigation.
Now, hold up. There's more to this. Body cam use activated upon arrival, but turned it off after observing the subject to be an Oakland County sheriff. I noticed Sergeant Bowie of this then arriving on the scene. So this is the lieutenant, y'all. This is the lieutenant getting away with a felony.
Behind all this foliage so nobody could see what's actually going on. They didn't want people to know what's really happening here. But I'll get into that more in the video I'm going to create at home. For now, we'll see you in the main video.
Okay, y'all. So I'm going to start this segment of the video. And we're going to look at page 8 of the report. Because for some reason, it's all the way on page 8 where the first officer that was on scene,
I think it's gonna be. I don't know.
Curtis.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
That's where her little bit of a report is located.
All right, so let's read that. So this is Deputy Hyde. On 10/17, Deputy Hyde was dispatched to the area of Maybe and Centerville for a welfare check on a vehicle. We all know that that wasn't it. Observation: I arrived and observed Deputy Curtis out with the vehicle and the driver. The vehicle was parked into the side of the road at the entry of Mount Zion Church. We all know that. That wasn't properly parked. It was up on a curb and on the street. Action taken. Deputy Curtis advised me that it was Lieutenant Afiara at the time. I approached the vehicle and asked if he was okay, and he advised that he was. I advised the caller that he was all set and clear to leave. The Deputy Curtis had Deputy Darren P Afiara, lieutenant that is, to exit the vehicle and put him in her patrol, and then stood by with Deputy Darren Paul, while Deputy Curtis reparked his vehicle into Mount Zion parking lot. Now, if that was me and you, ladies and gentlemen, do you know what would have happened to us? We would have been put into the back of a patrol car and handcuffed, right? Because he either denies it or takes the test. They take his blood draw later, and it's a 0.341. That is almost, it's alcohol poisoning. He was dying. All right. Mount Zion parking lot. Deputy asked for the sergeant, Bowie, so he could speak to him. So, in other words, he asked for his buddy, the lieutenant, asked for his undersergeant to come and cover up his crime for him. What else could it be? I contacted Sergeant Bowie and advised him. You hear that? She didn't advise him that he was struck out. She didn't advise him that he had a sugar attack. She didn't advise him that he got hit and robbed or anything like that. She just advised him, right? What she advised him of. We all know that. Deputy Curtis also advised me to call Deputy Bauer right after I arrived on the scene. Of course, he needed his Captain Sabaho. Deputy Curtis and then parked the patrol car in Mount Zion and lot and Sergeant Bowie to arrive. Once Sergeant Bowie arrived, he advised I was clear to leave. You hear that? Leaving the scene of a crime. Body camera, yes. Status open. Dispatched.
So,
see that? Information on 10/17, approximately 10:15, 15:10. Deputy Hyde and I, Deputy J. Curtis, were dispatched to Maybe on Morgan Lake Drive of the front of the Mount Zion and Independence Township for a welfare check. The dispatcher advised the complaint stated that The SUV had emergency lights and the driver was slumped over the wheel. He complaint was and advised the driver that his head while he attempted to contact him, but he put his head back down. That's because he was so screwed up, he couldn't even talk.
Starts out with on 10/17,
So I read that for you. Moving on. Moving on. Let's see. Let's read this one. On this one, it says, observation. I observed a black SUV on the side of the road and about Zion Church and parallel parked with traffic. You hear that? Parallel parked in traffic. While I was walking to the vehicle, the complainant's car was on the scene and stated that the subject is still in the vehicle and was running. I approached to the driver's side and observed the subject to be slumped over the center console. I recognized the subject to be Lieutenant Paul Afiara and opened the door of the vehicle. I asked the lieutenant if he recognized me. He stated he did. I asked the lieutenant if he was blank needed medical attention. He was advised that he was okay. You see how they had this redacted? I believed right here probably that he was intoxicated. They had to put the truth in there, but it's redacted. I turned on my BWC at the time under the impression of the situation that was completed. I turned off the SUV and took the keys from the ignition. At the time, the Deputy Hyde arrived on the scene and I briefed Deputy Hyde of the situation of the BWC were not needed. I pulled into the passenger seat and pulled a patrol vehicle and moved the SUV in the parking lot spot in Mount Zion Church. While I was moving to the Hyde contacted Deputy Sergeant Bowie per request and removed the patrol car to the SUV, awaited an arrival. After command arrived on the scene, we were instructed to leave the scene. Why would they instruct him to leave the scene, William? Why would they do that, Cat? Why would they do that, Dubs? Why would they do that, John Doe? Come on, y'all. Think about this for a second. Activated my lights on arrival and observed the subject, Lieutenant, and I noticed Sergeant Bowie of this when arriving the scene. This one says status closed. Look at that. He closed it. Attached to the copy is an OCSC forensic laboratory report. See it. Well, let's take a look at it. Deputy Curtis shuts down her body cam warrant camera, and after 48 seconds of recording to try to cover up Deputy Darren P Afiara, I butcher names all the time. If I'm not saying that right, I apologize. After she ends the camera, she proceeded to further try and cover it up by moving the vehicle into Mount Zion Park and Church lot outside of the site of anybody driving by. Wow. You think that would happen for me and you? That wouldn't happen for me and you, would it? So look, I'm going to look at the report for we already know that all this other crap is body. It's all, it's the same stuff here. Hold up. I want to look at the hospital report. Let's see. You can hear now the road they are ordered to hide from the general public. Let's listen.
Move that SUV to the Mount Zion Church parking lot. They moved it all the way to the back parking lot. And on Bowie's body cam, when he turns around, you can see that they're way back off the road because they knew what was happening and they were starting this cover up from the moment Curtis realized who it was in that vehicle. That's the sad truth of this. So that's the end of her statement, okay? So now we're going to pull it over to, what the heck was his name? Hyde? Yeah,
Remember, they told Curtis that he can leave the scene. He's leaving the scene.
Hyde. We'll get his statement of record here. Sorry, I'm flipping through the pages to find it. Come on, wheels. Okay, here it is.
The public should be outraged and pissed off right now. I'm telling you, all of you should.
Okay. On 10/17/2024, Deputy Hyde was dispatched to the area of Maybe and Clintonville for a welfare check on a vehicle.
I agree.
Now, when he was dispatched, he went lights and sirens to the scene. And I've got his dash cam video from the time he left the office to the time he got there.
Listen to this.
And it's approximately, I think, 12 minutes of him speeding lights.
Y'all, don't forget to hit that like button. We got 148 people in here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to it because this is what we do. We're not anti-cop. We're just anti-bad cop. We believe in our laws in the state of Michigan, and we give a thumbs up to good policing. But this is straight up corruption, and this is why MCC and I and other channels like ours are out here so we can root out the bad and not worry about the good because they can oversee themselves.
Siren for this drunk sheriff's deputy. So this super drunk sheriff's deputy, Darren P Afiara, put so many people in imminent danger because of his drunkenness behind the wheel that it's ridiculous. Because you have to understand that every cop that went to that scene, lights and siren and speeding, put people's lives in jeopardy. Okay? Not just...
Speed is the number one killer of police officers, ladies and gentlemen.
The deputy that was driving drunk, but everyone that went lights and sirens and speeding to get to that scene, to cover it up.
There you go. John Doe, you're exactly right. I'm going to read it. So she shut down her camera to help the lieutenant out and the attempt to move his vehicle to a parking lot. Yeah, that's obstruction. It's a felony obstruction right there. And it's conspiracy too. Conspiracy to defraud the government of the truth.
Okay.
Because they're supposed to hold them accountable.
Yes. Upon arriving, I observed Deputy Curtis out with the vehicle by the driver's door. The vehicle was parked.
So I done read all that.
Three
Can you wait a
of
second?
the dash cameras going. He's got a rear facing, a panoramic view, and a straightforward view. And he shut the entire system down at the same time he shut his body camera off to help cover this up. Okay. Deputy Curtis had Darren exit the vehicle and put him in her patrol vehicle. Okay, now this is another thing that pisses me off. You know, that just because this guy is a law enforcement officer, you're going to treat him with kid gloves. And you never see a pair of handcuffs go on this man. He broke the law. He was super drunk. He should have been in handcuffs behind his back in the back seat of the patrol car like any other person would have been. He should not get preferential treatment because he's a law enforcement officer. If anything, they should be treated worse. They should be sentenced to more hard time than the average person because They are the law enforcement officers. I mean, come on, it's common sense. They're supposed to know the law. They're supposed to protect our rights. They're supposed to enforce the law. So when they violate the same laws that they're supposed to enforce, they should pay a higher penalty. It's just logical. These judges need to stop putting the kid gloves on with these law enforcement officers and spank the shit out of them. Make an example of them so the rest of the damn law enforcement officers will stop thinking it's okay to break the law. Okay, back to this. Sorry I keep getting sidetracked because this really pisses me off. Okay, so Deputy Curtis reparked his vehicle into the Mount Zion parking lot. Asked for me to call Darren asked for me to call Sergeant Bodie and so he could speak with him. I contacted Sergeant Bowie and advised him. Deputy Curtis also advised me she called Sergeant Bowie right after I arrived on scene. Deputy Curtis and I then parked our patrol vehicles in the Mount Zion parking lot, and I already read this shit. Damn it. And waited for Sergeant Bowie to arrive. Once Sergeant Bowie arrived, he advised I was clear to leave. Yeah.
So you
So, I
guys
mean,
see what MCC is pointing out here is this is just straight out. Let me see if we can find out the corruption. I want to look at the right here. 0.24 preliminary breath test was given. Let's see. I was monitored in 911 welfare. Blah 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 blah. This is forward to 2020 Michigan 2025 vehicle transported. So they actually took the vehicle, you guys, and towed the vehicle. All right. Transported to 57 West. See that? Bowie, that's Sergeant Bowie. This is written. I monitored a 911 and a welfare check of Maybe Road in Mount Zion Church. And the caller was a black tow SUV, blah, 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 blah. It was Deputy Hyde and was a lieutenant. I guarantee it. The name that they keep blacking out is Darren, Lieutenant Darren. Okay. And upon arrival, the deputy was standing and sitting near the bumper of the vehicle. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, Sergeant. Okay, they noticed it. The lieutenant, okay. I had notified the patrol services, lieutenant and captain, and they were both en route to the scene. Yep. So now we know whoever was the lieutenant that day that was on duty and whoever the captain was that was on duty conspired to cover this up. I went to Sergeant Kramer. See, Sergeant Kramer was involved. The scene to the prior. Oh, we got to go audit these guys, MCC. Sergeant Kramer was told that he was notified, Patrol Services Lieutenant Captain, and we're both en route to the scene. Captain Wilson, Lieutenant Spencer arrived on the scene thereafter. I began talking to the lieutenant, asking him what was going on. The Lieutenant Darren was very apologetic. While talking to Darren, I noticed his eyes were bloodshot red and glossy. Ain't that a bitch? I could smell the strong odor of intoxicants coming from his breath. Person we spoke, I asked the lieutenant to take a preliminary breath test, a PTC. Here's evidence, ladies and gentlemen. He completed it. The preliminary was 294. That's drunk off your mind right there. But see, it keeps rising. So let's go and see the next one. Let's see the next one. Lieutenant Spencer located 2 bottles of 1 ounces of Kirtland American vodka. Oh, busted, disgusted, won't be trusted. This was an involuntary search of they found in his county given with emergency lights in it. This was his county patrol car that they gave him to drive from origin to destination and to do investigations with. And he found 2 bottles of 1.75 bottles of Kirkland American vodka and were found in the seat of the Tahoe, the front seat of the Tahoe. One of the bottles were unopened. The other bottle was open and almost empty. So he drank a whole fifth, y'all. A whole fifth. This lieutenant drank a whole fifth. The bottles of vodka were turned over to me. Pictures of the vodka bottles were attached to the report. I transported McLaurin Clarkston for a blood draw, and Winston accomplished that. And I read the chemical test of the ID-77 from the lieutenant, agreed the blood draw and signed to the indication and understood his rights. Listen to this, guys. The blood draw was conducted R.N. Kelly at 1300 hours. The second tube was drawn at 1300 hours. The tube of the kit were signed and installed by R.N. Castors and was sealed before being transported to the mailroom to forward to forensic analysis. To transport and to the jail without incident. So he went, I guess the lieutenant was transported to Oakland County Jail, 1200 Telegraph. That's where that's at. Michigan license certified per statute at the issued copy of the temporary license, the blood alcohol kit transport, Oakland County forensics, blah, 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 dispatch. Let's see. Let me go to the next page. This is crazy, y'all. There's the pictures of the vodka. Look at that. It's an inch. See that? It's an inch from the ground. He drank all that. God knows what else he was doing. That's the end of part 1. We'll do part 2 later. Or maybe it is. Maybe this is it. I'm a Michigan. So let's just get it all over with now. Okay, here's this case number. You guys ready? God bless. Man, we love MCC. Those of you that are not subscribed to MCC, Michigan Constitutional Crusader, go subscribe to him right now. He's great. He's awesome, man. William, put his link in the chat for me. CI drivers will trade it. Yep. Let's see. So he was charged. Let's see. Viewing case number, state of Michigan. This was deposed. What is this? Arraignment was held, appeared in court, not to leave the state of Michigan, notified address, no alcohol. That was the court expectation. Hearing will be held in person. Authorized complaint. 10/17. Boy, they did a good job writing this one up, didn't they? Judge Schumann, Daniel J.M. Miscellaneous actions. Advised of rights and signed. Arraignment held. It doesn't tell you the count. It doesn't tell you what it is. Bond posted, $2,500. That's probably what it is. the felony costs that much, let alone the attorney by itself is $10,000 for the average person. Miscellaneous action, hearing will be held in person, 1/2/25. Then let's see. Let's see if that changed. These are all the hearings, all the dates. Let's see what happened.
At another pre-trial date of April 8th, 2025. On April 8th, it was scheduled for a final pre-trial of 5/19/25 and also scheduled for a jury trial on 6/12 of 2025. On 4/14, the case was changed. The charge was reduced to operating intoxicated.
Yeah, you got ripped for real.
Instead of the operating with a BAC at or above 0.17. So the charge was dropped from super drunk to just drunk.
Yeah, that doesn't apply. Federal law doesn't apply to this. What they did was conspire. They conspired to cover up a crime.
Part of that plea deal was that he, pled guilty. He was disposed as guilty, and there was a probation screening, and he was scheduled for sentencing on 5/19/2025. On 5/19, the sentencing hearing was held. Part of the terms of his sentencing to probation was no use or possession of any alcohol, random PBT/drug testing, not to enter any establishment whose primary purpose is sale of alcohol, not to use or possess any controlled substances, probation oversight fees of $600, crime victim rights assessment $75, state cost for misdemeanor/ordinance $50, statute fine $228, court cost statute offense criminal $342. The payment due date was set for 6/18 of 25, and it says jail term, but it doesn't have any description in there. It says credit for time served in jail. And then it says order for community service filed. And it says probation. It doesn't say anything about what the probation is in this section, but I will get into that in a minute. It says to take the prescribed medications, to do substance abuse outpatient counseling, to get mental health treatment, to get outpatient treatment program.
Ladies and gentlemen, quit guessing. You don't have to guess. I will show the law here in a minute.
Says no driving without a valid operator's license, may request a hearing for early discharge after half.
Yeah.
We've got the original charge, operating with BAC of 0.17 or more. And then it was reduced to just a regular drunk driving under 0.17. And he got probation and some fines, okay? So that's where we're at. And you got to think, going through that whole record, what was missing? What didn't you guys see there that should have been there? I can tell you what that is, but I'm going to wait till the very end of this video to tell you. Okay, so here is the disposition of the sentencing hearing. Okay, so he got 2 days of community service. 2 days of community service. I'm sorry, 3 days. 3 days of community service. And they gave him credit for 2 days in jail, which I'm sure wasn't 2 days. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. And then we've got...
Remember, this is a lieutenant on the force, Darren P Afiara.
No vehicle immobilization, which should have been necessary. We got no license suspension or anything listed.
I mean, it's just, I don't get it. It's
If
so
you guys haven't subscribed to Michigan Constitutional Crusader, please do so. Thank you.
weird. There's like nothing there. I
And
don't
by the way, it's in the description. If you go in the description of this, his link is right there and you can subscribe right there.
understand how that's possible, but yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, and it
He's
does.
one of my friends. He's good. His word is as good as gold, man. To me, we got each other's back, and I know he told the truth. And I give him credit for having and the person that gave him that, the whistleblower. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for doing what you do.
Doesn't say how many days suspended, restricted. None of that is on there. So
Look at it.
they didn't put any parameters over his driver's license. They did at least tell him he needed to go to therapy and you know and
But this is special treatment. My brother's first time, he had to go a year without a driver's license. He had to stop driving for a year, which he was a truck driver. You understand? He couldn't drive a semi for 2 years, right? And then when he couldn't find a place to where they would hire him. Go figure. This guy gets nothing.
rehab and stuff like that. But tablet's it. Okay, guys. So basically, this is the end of the video now, and I really hope that you guys thought about that for the, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute that I was making you wait. What charge do you think that is missing from this case that should have at least been included when he was first arraigned? Drum roll. Well, it's open intox. He had a bottle of vodka that was 7/8 drank, a half gallon that was 7/8 gone, and a full bottle. Okay, so the full bottle.
You hear that? A half gallon
It's full.
and
So
a full bottle.
there's no charge for that. But that 99% empty bottle, that's an open intox. And he should have been charged with that too.
Yep. And that's that. That's how that rolls. You see how that rolls, y'all? And look, why'd they do it? Because they can. Power does what it wants. People, I am not a person that doesn't have logic. I have logic, and I'm on a medication now where my mind's coming back to me nice and slow. And when it does, I got 3 years to hold you people accountable. And within the next month, I will be making these people famous. Promise you. Promise you that. In the meantime, back at the ranch, don't ever give up. Don't ever think that our country is going to lose it. Try to hold on to something, because for all these people that hate government, that hate police officers, you do understand, cops, as a police officer, you are supposed to be a role model. You are supposed to live by the example. I stood in front of a judge yesterday and I looked him in the eyes. He says, "Why can't you just take the win?" I said, "Because I pointed at the cop, he is a danger to society, and I'm not letting him get away with it, Judge." I said, "He tried to gaslight me. All I did was ask a question while I had a misdemeanor on me, that they conspired with somebody to come at me and punish me with the process." Now, I'm telling you, if you think that I'm going to let you get away with that, if you don't apologize to me within the next 60 days, I'm going to show you the power of this pen. Better yet, the computer. I'm going to make you famous because you conspired. That's 241. I didn't commit a crime. And whoever told you to do that, you did it on subpoena. You did it under faith, knowing that I did not commit a crime, knowing that you didn't have no witnesses, knowing that you doctored something up. When I have a video and you don't, I got a video. I was waiting for that specific witness to come and actually perjure himself while committing another crime called HIPAA, because he's a doctor, and everything him and his staff do for me and mine's, it's protected under HIPAA. But they defamated my character and they conspired with command, whoever that, I'm not saying everybody in command. I'm not saying the whole city of Lincoln Park is corrupt. I'm telling you, there's a handful of people, and I'm going to the mayor, and I'm going to give her a chance. I am an FBI witness. I'm already testifying against somebody else. It's just a matter of time. And you could kill me today, and when you're charged, it's already on record. They've already taken my statement. There's a notary public that signed it, and there's an FBI agent that witnessed it, and a U.S. Marshal, just for your information. So don't intimidate a witness when you hear me go by saying, hey, happy F the Police Day, because that's what's been hiding. I blamed it on somebody else to let you guys think that it was something else. But I'm letting you know now, don't intimidate an FBI witness. It's a 5-year max. All right. I am testifying against these people, and it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of I told them if I was you, I would stop doing what you're doing. And you need to start practicing police where you are police instead of going out of your jurisdiction 2 to 3 miles out of your jurisdiction. I did it again last night because I had nothing to do. I just wanted to see if they were, and sure enough, I waited 5 minutes, and my son and I, we found one. We actually found one pulling people over. I guess that's how they pay for their new Suburbans in Wyandotte. You know, they're always getting somebody that don't live in Wyandotte. And guess who he had? Can anybody here guess who he had pulled over? Anybody? Can they guess who they had pulled over? Yeah, it was a person of color, as usual. And as soon as I went by and slowed down and said, happy F the Police Day, all of a sudden they and got out of there. Go figure. Hey, man, I'm not against you cops, man. You good cops out there that's doing a good job, you know who you are. You keep doing a good job. Don't let all these other sadistic cops and cop haters stop you from being a good police officer, because I believe there's a few out there. I had one that came in yesterday, and he doesn't know it, but I'm going to give him an award on this channel because he actually came in and stood with me because I asked him to be a professional witness, because I believe these people were going to set me up. Thank you, Adam. You know, and my son got a firsthand of how they did it when I was sitting outside the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor didn't want to talk to me because she knew that there was no evidence whatsoever. You guys, I'm not calling her. I thought, for the record, if you guys have any suspicion, anything, people that live in Lincoln Park, if you have any suspicion on anything like that against not just cops, I'm talking about what's going on in the 25th District Court. If you've been wrongly accused and you got receipts, I don't want to hear all this he said, she said. Everybody's got a sob story. I do too. You got to be able to prove what you're saying. That's why they don't let you record in there. I don't trust them. I don't trust a place like that. They're sadistic and they're evil, and they're going to stand on Judgment Day. And if you people think you're Christians, like I thought, somebody told me that she was a Christian, that one of those prosecutors up there. If you are a Christian like you say you are, you know the great white throne of judgment. You know you can't. All liars shall have their part in the lake of fire. What's that mean, ma'am? If you're so religious and all, and you believe in God, all you leaders out there that constantly lie, but you want to hold me to your code of conduct and your bargaining agreement. You want to hold your sworn testimony as my sworn testimony, that I would protect you and allow you to be a tyrant. You see, rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. That is what it says up in the right hand part. I'm back quiet, read the mail. Read it for yourself.